Did you know that some of the world's most famous companies were deeply tied to Nazi Germany? Brands we see every day, Coca-Cola, BMW, Volkswagen, even Kodak, all played roles in the wartime economy. Some cooperated to survive, others to profit, and many tried to erase this history after 1945. Today, we'll uncover the hidden stories of these companies. Number 1. Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola entered Germany in the 1920s and quickly became a household name. By the time the Nazis rose to power, Coke was already one of the most popular drinks in the country. When war began, trade restrictions cut off syrup supplies from the U.S. headquarters. The German branch faced a choice: shut down or invent something new. Their solution was Fanta, created in 1940 from whatever ingredients were available in wartime Germany. Marketed as a patriotic domestic drink, Fanta fit perfectly into Nazi propaganda about self-sufficiency. It became a huge success. After the war, Coca-Cola returned and reintroduced its flagship drink, but Fanta never disappeared. It stands as one of the most famous examples of how companies adapted to authoritarian markets. Number 2. IBM. IBM's punch card technology was revolutionary in the 1930s. It allowed governments to process data at unprecedented speed. In Nazi Germany, these machines were used for census taking, registration, and population tracking. This precision was not harmless. It helped authorities identify and classify Jews, Roma, and other targeted groups. Historians argue that IBM subsidiaries in Europe not only provided machines, but also maintained and customized them. The company's leadership in the U.S. later claimed it had no direct control once the war began. But the evidence shows one thing clearly: IBM's technology made Nazi bureaucracy more efficient and more deadly. Number 3. Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes was more than just a luxury brand. Its cars became symbols of prestige, closely linked to Adolf Hitler himself. He often rode in Mercedes vehicles during parades and public appearances, but Mercedes' role went deeper. As labor shortages grew, the company relied heavily on forced labor from occupied territories. Workers included prisoners of war and individuals taken from concentration camps. They endured brutal conditions while building vehicles for the war effort. Executives did not simply comply with state orders. They actively sought contracts, reshaping production to benefit from the regime's demands. After 1945, Mercedes tried to rebuild its image, but its wartime actions remain under scrutiny. Number 4. Kodak. Kodak had a strong presence in Europe long before the war. Its German subsidiary continued operations throughout the 1930s and 1940s. Even as trade routes collapsed, Kodak managed to supply film and photographic materials. Reports suggest some resources came from occupied territories. This allowed Kodak to keep its German business alive even as the war raged. Like other companies, Kodak's European branches were linked to the broader system of coerced labor. After the war, the company returned to growth, and these darker chapters went largely unexamined for decades. Number 5. Porsche and Volkswagen. In the 1930s, Hitler envisioned a people's car for ordinary Germans. He turned to engineer Ferdinand Porsche to design it. This became the Volkswagen, or car for the people. But few Germans ever received their cars. When war broke out, the Volkswagen factory shifted to military production. Vehicles were adapted for combat, and the factory relied on forced labor. Porsche's engineering genius helped shape both civilian and military vehicles. After the war, he was briefly detained, but his reputation as an innovator endured. The Volkswagen brand later became a symbol of West Germany's recovery. Number 6. Gillette. Even simple consumer brands were part of Nazi Germany. Gillette had a German subsidiary that continued selling razors throughout the 1930s and 1940s. While not a military supplier, the company adapted to local rules. Razors and blades became part of daily life, helping project an image of normalcy under dictatorship. Historians argue that companies like Gillette were not ideological supporters, but they still profited by cooperating with the system. Number 7. BMW. BMW began as an aircraft engine producer before moving into motorcycles and cars. When Hitler came to power, BMW quickly became part of the war machine. By the late 1930s, BMW factories were building aircraft engines crucial for the Luftwaffe. They also produced motorcycles and vehicles for the German army. Like many, BMW faced labor shortages as men joined the military. The solution was forced labor. Tens of thousands of workers from occupied countries and concentration camps. Survivors later described brutal conditions and constant hunger. After the war, BMW's reputation was damaged. It struggled to rebuild, but in later decades, admitted its role and contributed to survivor compensation funds. Number 8. Adidas and Puma. The Dassler brothers founded a shoe company in the 1920s. Both joined the Nazi Party in 1933. Their shoes were supplied to the Hitler Youth and German athletes. During the war, the factory produced some military goods and used forced labor. After the war, the brothers split. Adolf founded Adidas. Rudolf created Puma. Both brands became global giants, but their roots were shaped by the Nazi era. Number 9. Ford. Henry Ford, the founder of Ford Motors, was admired by Hitler. Hitler even mentioned him in Mein Kampf, praising his success and anti-Semitic views. Ford's German subsidiary in Cologne built vehicles for the Nazi market. When the war began, those factories supplied trucks for the regime. The company later argued it had no direct control once America joined the war. But Henry Ford's earlier writings had already made him a celebrated figure in Nazi circles. Number 10. Chase Bank. Chase Bank operated branches in Paris during the 1930s. When Germany occupied France, those branches came under Nazi control. Investigations later revealed Chase froze Jewish accounts and processed transactions for the occupiers. The bank argued it was forced into compliance, but evidence showed active cooperation. After the war, Chase avoided serious punishment, but its reputation was stained by these actions. Number 10 plus 1. Universal Pictures. In the 1930s, Germany was a huge market for Hollywood films. To keep access, studios like Universal made concessions. They removed Jewish staff from German offices and adjusted film content to avoid censorship. This shows how far companies would go to protect profits. By the late 1930s, Hollywood slowly withdrew from Germany, but for years, the industry compromised to stay in business. From soft drinks to banks, from cars to movies, these companies chose survival and profit over principle. Some cooperated willingly, Others claimed they had no choice. But their actions helped sustain the Nazi state. Many thrived after the war, becoming global giants. But their past remains a reminder that corporations often put profits first, even in the darkest times. Which of these stories shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more hidden history.